Well, welcome everybody. We're glad you're with us today, and I am going to be talking with Bethany Figg. Hi, Bethany. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in the foster care community, and what does your involvement look like today?
Sure. So I am involved in both professional and personal ways. So I am a worker at FamilyCore. I work in adoption. I decided it was one of those rare people who knew what I wanted to do freshman year of college and went through and got my social work degree and interned actually at FamilyCore as an adoption worker my senior year, and then was hired on just following that. And so I have been with FamilyCore in that professional lens since 2013. I was hired officially. And so I'm in private adoption, which doesn't really touch the foster care world, but it still gets me in the right circles, I guess I would say. And I'm within the counseling department at FamilyCore. And so I work with a lot of families who are growing through adoption, both internationally and domestically, and then, kind of consult on other foster care situations. And then my husband and I are foster parents also. So we decided a few years into our marriage that, we always want to be part of a solution for keeping children safe. And we don't always know what that will look like. And when we were first married, it was not foster parenting because we wanted to get used to being married. So we did that for the first year or two, and then we were licensed, and we have had 3 kids in our home. One only stayed for about a week, and she was moved to be with siblings. One little guy has been with us for a year next month. And then his brother just actually moved in with us 2 weeks ago. So we are fresh in it. And so when I talk about, TBRI and doing this at home, I will say, a greater appreciation over this last year than I've ever had before, because it's hard. It's hard to be consistent and to parent well. So I kind of bring the lens of both personal and professional and in the trenches every day with it. So that's the roundabout answer of where I'm at in the foster care world.
Yeah, I love that. My husband and I became foster parents about 5 years ago. But before that, we were introduced to TBRI through a conference that we'd gone to, Empowered to Connect. And so it was like one of the first tools in our tool belt, and it was all very interesting. Oh, this sounds wonderful. And then we got our girls and we're like, oh, this is great and super hard. So tell us a little bit more what TBRI is and what it means for you to be a practitioner in that.
Okay. So another way that we talk about TBRI is we call it investment parenting, because it takes so much from the caregiver or the parent to do it well and to help these children succeed who don't have the tools that they need to succeed, and they really need the caregiver to come in and help them. So TBRI stands for Trust-Based Relational Intervention, and it is a therapeutic approach. It's attachment-based. It is truly looking at the heart of the child and the relationship with the caregiver and trying to bring hope and healing for every child. So that's a line very specifically from one of the creators, where she really truly, she passed away, Karen Purvis, but she truly felt as if there was hope and healing for every child, no matter their situation. And so she wanted to create a very practical framework for parents to be able to help their children succeed, and caregivers in general. And so as a note, I am a TBRI practitioner, so I did online coursework, and then I actually went down to Texas for a week and did in-person training, but I am not a therapist at FamilyCore. So I just to be clear, I'm not a clinician here. I'm just a private adoption specialist. I have my bachelor's degree, not my master's. We do have a clinician here who is TBRI, who is a TBRI practitioner as well. And so we often partner together for trainings, and I use it largely in training families who are pursuing adoption or just need help within their own parenting journey. Really, I mean, I could talk about TBRI forever. So it truly is, it brings so much hope. And that is really what I like about it, is that it gives practical tools, it gives hope. And it really brings home the idea that if a child was harmed through relationship, they need healing through relationship, right? So if you know it was their mother who hurt them, they need someone to come alongside them and show adults can be safe, adults can be trusted, and it's hard to do that. It's hard to be that consistent for a child over and over. But TBRI kind of gives the tools through some of their main principles.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's one of my favorite, I don't know if it's an exact quote from them, but yeah, if the harm has come through a relationship, the healing also must come through relationship. I love that. So you said something about the principles for TBRI. So what are those main principles you kind of focus on?
So there are three main principles within TBRI. We look at the connecting principle first, right? Because if you're not connected to a child, you're not going to be able to empower and help them heal. You know, if they can't trust you, it's in the name, right? It's trust-based. So we look at connection first, which is that solid relationship they need to build with a caregiver or a trusted adult. And then we look at empowerment, which is a child being able to truly take control of their physical needs, of their environmental needs, and for them to be able to say, I'm thirsty, I'm hungry, and they'll get a snack and they'll get a drink. Pretty basic in some ways, but it's always a good reminder to have. And then the last approach, which I'm doing my hands like this because we build it on a pyramid. So connection is like the base of the pyramid. Then we go to empowering, and then we go to correcting, because correcting is not the focus of TBRI. Correcting is important. It's kids need it, and we know that, but correcting is really about redirecting behaviors and helping a kid really succeed well. And they use the pyramid example because if you flip it over and you're up on your correcting as your base, you're going to fail, you know? And I think as parents, as a parent and as a professional, I can attest to, if you find yourself correcting all the time, you don't like yourself. You know, you don't like you don't like anything at that point. And so we really focus in on, we want to connect with the heart of the child and help them succeed. And then we will have to do correcting because that's part of life and part of parenting, but we want it to be a small part of what we do.
Yeah, I love that. I was raised in a home that was really high on correction, and it kind of worked for me for whatever reason, you know. I mean, I have a background from a hard place. It was like a stable home. And so I went into parenting thinking, oh, I'm just going to tell my kids how it's going to be, and it's going to be fine, and they're going to figure it out, and you're going to follow the rules because they're good rules to follow.
Right?
No, it doesn't work that way. So I had to unlearn so much of what was just almost innate in me because it's how I had been parented. So it's really a reorientation. And that's hard, but totally worth it. It's so good to see the progress that can be made and how much less correcting that has to be done when you invest in that bottom layer of the pyramid. So I've totally felt that.
Yeah, and I think most people would feel that pretty traditional parenting is more corrective, you know, and it's pretty counterintuitive to parent TBRI way, and it takes a lot of effort. I'll be honest, you know, it takes a lot of effort to think counterintuitively all day long when you're like, well, no, I'm the parent. This is what you should do. Well, a kid from a hard place is just going to shut down. You know, they're not going to be able to respond to that, or they're going to lash out. And that's not a great solution either. So, you know, we're looking at those two options.
Yeah. So who do you feel like can benefit from this approach the most?
So I think everyone honestly can benefit from it. I think that even before I was parenting, it was important relational skills to learn, right? So we all have relationships that we're working through every day, and whether it's a partner, whether it's a child, whether it's a friend, coworker, we're all working through things with people all the time. And so it's important to remember, I think, that connection piece is so important. If you're supervising somebody and you aren't connected to them, they won't receive any positive feedback in a way that could be as beneficial for both of you. So I think, you know, traditional biological children, they can benefit from it. I work with families who are usually composed of quite a variety of children or different ways of children joining families. And I've had families who are like, you know, we are using this now with our adopted children. We wish we'd had this with our biological children as well, because it's just a gentle approach to parenting that can be really successful.
Yeah, I figured that you'd seen that. That's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of, I mean, my experience is because we only have fostered and then adopted. That's the only approach we've really tried. But, you know, I've talked with people and other people in my family who have said, oh, this
Mm-hmm.
works for my kids too. So yeah, I think it's great that it can benefit so many.
Mm-hmm.
So to switch gears a little bit, what's one thing you'd like to tell families who are thinking about getting involved in the foster care community, maybe as a support person or in some other way?
Sure. I think you should do it. I think if you're thinking about it, that's a great first step. And I think you should get involved somehow, some way. I love that there are about 100 different ways you can be involved. You don't have to become a foster parent. I don't think that everyone should become a foster parent. I don't think it's a good fit for everyone. It's hard and it takes time and energy that not everybody has, you know, and so I think whether you're a support person, whether you do a mentorship, whether I know some people who are licensed just so they can provide respite care for families who are foster families. So they're not necessarily taking long-term foster care placements, but they can come in as a support. And I think, I don't know, obviously I'm passionate about foster care. It's both personal and professional. It bleeds into every area of my life. But I really do feel like if we can all invest ourselves in it some way, we're truly investing in our kids, in our community, in our future. And it can be any which way. You know, we have friends who have dropped off meals for us. And I love that because they're not foster parents. They don't want to be foster parents, and that's fine. But they found a way to support us in our foster care journey. And
Yeah.
I just this morning was thinking about this. We were thinking about my interview, and I read in a book about how there are about 100 good reasons not to do something, and that's fine. But if the reason is fear that is holding you back, then that should not be a valid reason. So if you're fearful, call Christina and talk to her. And you know, so we'll be real with you. We're very realistic and very practical. But fear shouldn't be what holds you back. You know, the question the book then asked was, are you being led in love or are you being pulled back by fear? And I think that was a really good statement that I was like, oh, I'm going to remember that one. Because fear shouldn't hold you back from doing something that could be huge for you. And, you know, my husband and I, our lives are completely changed, and our extended family's lives are completely changed because of these little beings in our home.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for the plug.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
great. Call her.
I love talking to people because I think sometimes people just think it's either you foster or, you know, that's it. And I totally agree with you. If everybody fostered, it'd be worse than it is now. Like, because we'd all need this extra care and this extra support.
Right.
So we need the people who are supposed to be fostering to foster, and everybody else to find their part to do too. I totally agree with that. So if there's one thing you'd like to give, maybe a piece of encouragement or something to tell families who are currently fostering, what is it you'd want to say to them?
Oh, just hang on. You know, I know we're in really unprecedented times, and they can be really challenging. And the child in your home right now has gone through transitions before, and this is another big one for them. And they're probably acting out. They're probably, you know, having a really hard time without structure, missing friends from school. You know, for some of these kids, last time they left a school, they did not go back to that school. You know, so we don't know all of the things that they're facing in this. So I'll stick to two main things for you guys to hang on to for hope. One is practically just say yes to your kids as much as possible. Give yourself grace and give them yeses, because they're going to trust you more. They're going to be more comfortable. Just give them as many yeses as you can, even if it's stretching for you. You know, I didn't know what a control freak I was until I parented. Who knew? I didn't. I'm pretty laid back in general, but man, it's hard. And so I think give them yeses, let them make a mess, let them do what they need to do to cope. And then as you give them yeses in the little things, your kiddos are going to trust you with the big things. And they're going to be able to bring those big heart issues to you. And they're going to be able to bring their little hearts and say, I'm hurting because of this. And they'll be able to do that because you said yes to letting them run around in the mud outside or whatever it was. So that's a practical, hands-on with your kids. The other thing I would say, and I think we're hearing this from every outlet everywhere, is self-care and mindfulness. You know, take care of yourselves. Know that you are not expected to be perfect, and know that you can be having a hard time now too, and that's okay. And I have, again, a new little friend in my home. He's having a very hard time, and that makes me have a very hard time. And so one thing we do for mindfulness is we have a ritual. You know, we've created a little ritual for the two of us where we listen to our calm down music. And that's as much calming for me as it is for him. You know, we pick our music together, we sit on the couch, I rock him. That's our calm down time for me and for him. And so I think, you know, giving yourself those moments and giving yourself grace, you know, be nice to yourself. You're doing what you can. Kids are doing what they can. And we'll all come out of this hopefully more connected within our family units, and hopefully having seen some really beautiful stories come out of this. But just go easy on yourself. If they need to watch more TV, let them. It's okay. We'll all survive this together.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. Well, thank you so much. I love everything
Thank you.
So I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for your time.